Good morning, everybody. It's Taz from the Big Run Project, Active Wellbeing Society. I'm here today in the beautiful Handsworth Park. You can see behind me. We're here for a sensory walk, but it's also a Black Heritage Network's trail walk as well. And we also are celebrating Black History Month. So we've got a very special walk in line for you today. So just waiting for live viewers. Hi, we got one. Let's see these live viewers. Let's see those numbers go up, please. Please do share. There's a very easy way of sharing. There's a share button at the bottom of the screen. If you just press share, and it will go to all your contacts on your Facebook page, so they can enjoy this walk and learn about the history right here on our doorstep in the beautiful Handsworth area. So let me introduce you to a very first guest while more viewers are coming round. So.
Okay, good morning. I'm Marcia, historical researcher. We've got Dawn Carr, heritage officer for West Midlands W Legacy, and we've got here Gary Stewart, recognised Black culture, and he's the director of the. I'm going to have to do this again.
It's fine, it's live.
He's the director of recognised Black culture and heritage.
Yeah. Brilliant. So just to let everyone know, this is a live video where we're talking and going through some of the historical facts and some really interesting points around in Handsworth. So over to you, Marcia.
Yes, so Handsworth is a rich, diverse area of Birmingham City that has always had a negative, very negative image. Unfortunately, what needs to be told is the untold of the rich positives of Handsworth. The first doctors, the first schools, the first people to create educational Saturday schools, our prominent sports and entertainment stars. And this trail will explain and explore all the richness of Handsworth.
Thank you. So where do we start?
Well, we're starting here. Of course, if we're going to do a heritage walk, we have to start with Mr. Handsworth, Hector Pinkney. So Hector Pinkney got his own MBE in 2011 for being Mr. Handsworth. He's lived in the Handsworth area since he settled here in Birmingham. He was the security officer at the Handsworth Library for years, and everybody knew and loved him. And then he also set up a martial arts class. He set up a after-school club for children. There has been so many things that Hector Pinkney has done. We need a whole day just to go through that. He's an amazing character, and as part of an arts trail that was delivered by Pauline Bailey and Jan Kimber, they put together a whole arts trail, and we have this beautiful monument in Handsworth. And I don't know if you want to walk round, Taz.
Yes.
Let's walk round. So let's walk around the building. You've got the SS Journey here, which is all about the Windrush generation, and then you've got a picture of Hector there. If you're interested, there's loads of information here. There's an information board about the whole SS Journey and the actual arts trail. I myself have got a picture here, so I don't know if you want to see. This is the whole arts trail. You can download this online. So as we go through the park, I will pick out some of the things that are featured on the arts trail. This is not our particular trail, but it's another trail that you can do if you're interested in arts. So that's Hector Pinkney, the SS Journey, and this is the perfect way to start with Mr. Handsworth. We've been joined by some guests.
Want to introduce your guests?
Yes.
So not there. If you want to come, I'll come with you next
Do you want to introduce yourself next
Wednesday. Okay.
about what you
Next
do?
Wednesday. No.
All right, Dave.
Well, at the moment, I'm introducing another woman who I see every day in the park walking
Yes.
to this.
Yeah.
And I understand that you've got one next
Week.
next
as well.
week
Yeah,
in
so
Edgbaston.
We're doing another one next week in Edgbaston, which is Ida B. Wells. So she's an activist, she's an educator, she's like, a totally inspirational woman who led the campaign for to stop lynching in America. So we'll be doing that one, and it's amazing one. So you can come on that one as well, Maxine.
I'd be well.
Maxine here is my earth angel, aren't you, Maxine?
Thank you for this grand title.
Yes, this is my earth angel. And you also do heritage projects, don't you?
I do.
Yeah, so do you want to talk about that?
But in a slightly different way. Mine comes from herbs and botanicals perspective. So I'm interested in have a company called Mazizi and Roots to Wellbeing, which is for us to understand our heritage in terms of medicines, plant medicines, and to integrate that into our foods, into our lifestyle, into the teas and things that we use.
Yes. And we'll be working with you hopefully in the future. We discussed doing a biracial heritage trail.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, I know.
Interesting.
I know. So that's another
Interesting
thing
in
that
these times. It's interesting.
absolutely.
For sure.
So we're going to start the walk.
Okay, follow on.
So we started with Mr. Handsworth, and we're here at the lake. I mean, I don't know if you want to turn around, Taz, and show them this beautiful lake.
The view of the lake is amazing from
And
here.
here's Pat. Yeah, so we've got a
Pat's here.
beautiful lake.
Hi,
And
Pat.
there's so much to take in with just the lake, just in general. But what's interesting is that we're walking towards what's called the boat's house. Now, the boat's house has always been a key feature of this lake, and what we're going to be looking at the moment is a very new building. And the reason why it's a new building is because the original building was burnt down, and it was burnt down by suffragettes, during the suffragette movement. So this is in the early 1900s, as obviously rich, educated white women were protesting about the right to vote, obviously, and chose the boathouse as a way of protesting. Well, what's interesting about these suffragettes is they didn't just campaign for the right for women to vote. They also supported other black people who came to the UK at that same time in terms of the rights of black people, the right to vote, abolition movements and stuff like that. So the boathouse has a significance not just for the suffragettes but also for the black community here in the Birmingham area. And to my knowledge, it's been turned into a cafe, which is also owned by a black-owned company, but it's not open at the moment. So that's
Yeah, and there's some boats you can take out on the lake as well. So before COVID was here, we were able to take the boats out. So yeah, it's a lovely view behind Dawn. So those who haven't been here, do come and visit, and definitely start your trail at the SS Journey Hector Pinkney Mr. Handsworth statue.
So we've got a bit of a steep walk. So if you're if you like to do walking and you want to get your heart rate going, lots of people are getting heart disease, high blood pressure and stuff like that. Just the walk from Hector up this hill is a bit of a steep walk, and it's perfect for raising that heart rate and getting nice and healthy. So we're going to walk up the hill and then walk over to the cricket ground. So the cricket ground is just over the other side. We've got quite a good crowd here today in terms of the walk.
Pat's joined us. We got our guests Marcia and Gary and Maxine as well.
So as I said, this is just a shortened version of our walk, and this is just the Handsworth Park part of it. We've got a trail that's about 3 hours long in Handsworth because there's so much rich black heritage in Handsworth. We'd need a whole day to take you around it all. So our normal walk, which is called the Madiba Walk, is 3 hours long, and that we call it Madiba because it's named after Nelson Mandela. So Nelson Mandela's name is actually Madiba, so that's why we actually call it the Madiba Walk. And when we get to the top at the leisure centre, I will explain why Nelson Mandela is part of this walk and why we feature him.
Right. So we've just raised our heart rate. We've gone up that hill. You can see that hill, quite a steep. It's a bit tricky for me walking backwards with the camera.
You're walking backwards. It's hard for me to talk and walk up this hill. We're making it seem easy, aren't we?
We're just crossing over the part of the park where the rail track runs through it. So those who know Handsworth Park, you've got the allotments on this side, and then you've got the railway station. Can I just show you quickly? The railway station, and it's nice. It's a beautiful morning. We've been blessed again, Dawn.
We have.
We're quite fortunate with our wedding.
Every time we've done this walk, it's rained all the rest of the days, and then we have sunshine when we're doing the walk.
Yeah, so.
But you see the dawn is the enlightenment, sunshine, everything. It all comes with the name.
Absolutely.
That's
So-
what I bring.
I'll bring you on all my walks now, Dawn,
That's it.
throughout the winter.
So luckily we've got a downhill trail now, so we're going to be just walking towards the actual cricket ground. Now the reason why I'm choosing Handsworth Cricket Ground is because there is a famous cricketer from Barbados called Malcolm Marshall. Now Malcolm Marshall, if you're ever interested in cricket, was an amazing athlete. He was just a legend. He's from Barbados and played for the West Indies team. At the time, the West Indies team, I'm going to be biased, was the best in the universe at that time. And, you know, I loved going to cricket games, you know, with my family when I was younger. We'll go this way, Sonia.
Okay.
So, and then, like, Malcolm Marshall, he actually came to Edgbaston, so he did a test series in Edgbaston and was an avid kind of supporter of the Handsworth Cricket Club here. And as a result of that, when Malcolm Marshall passed away in the 90s, we had a legendary person in the Birmingham area called Stead Wallen, who used to run an annual memorial cricket event every year in August as a memorial to Malcolm Marshall. And what was significant about this cricket event, it was about bringing all the communities together. You know, you'd have, you know, teams like, you know, like you'd have like a South Asian team, a Caribbean team, and people would just come and, you know, relax. There'd be information about health and services, and it was an amazing event, to kind of honour the memory of Malcolm Marshall, who was a great cricketer. Sadly, Stead has passed away, but his memory still goes on. So those, you know, who remember him will always support the memorial event here at the cricket ground every year. And it's a place where the black community know that they can come and get information, meet others, and it's just about unity and and community cohesion. So here's a cricket club. You
So
see
here,
the sign
see,
there?
I'll go close to the sign to show you Handsworth Cricket Club. And I remember as a youth coming here and enjoying the cricket. So as Dawn mentioned, I used to come here and watch the game, the special day in August with my family. Being a cricketer myself, I really enjoyed, and we got to meet some of the West Indian team, the cricket team
I've met
members
Viv
who
Richards.
came here. Viv Richards, yeah, exactly. Viv Richards and some of the other team members as well. So imagine seeing your stars here on this lovely green surface, here right in the heart of our home at Handsworth, you know, enjoying cricket with everyone, you know, all people from all different backgrounds as well. So really, really great to be part of that history here.
Okay, I'm doing all the talking.
So Gary, you want to say something?
No, I'll do the Sons of Rest.
You will.
Okay, Gary's going to do the Sons of Rest. Who's doing the
I'll do
bandstand?
the bandstand. So
Okay.
we're going to go over to the bandstand. Now, again, there's a group called the Friends of Handsworth Park that have lovingly restored this bandstand. And you're probably thinking, why am I walking over to a bandstand? Well, from a heritage perspective, it's a beautiful building, so we're going to look at this building, you know, in terms of its actual glory and its beauty. And it's one of few that are still surviving in the UK. So a lot of them have been, you know, destroyed and discontinued. And this is a key feature in Victorian parks, you know, back in history. But for the black community, it has a particular significance. So it's always been used as a place for protests. So we've had many different speakers here at the bandstand. But in particular, there was another great person within our community called Beanie Brown, who runs 104 Heathfield Road Community Centre. So this is the African Caribbean self-help organisation. Now, what Beanie Brown did, he set up a regular event which is called African Liberation Day. Now, in 1977, we had the largest gathering for African Liberation Day here at the bandstand in Handsworth. Now, you probably think, well, what does that mean? Because this is where all people from all over the globe, whether they're African, Caribbean, American, they come together and unite, for African Liberation Day. And he managed to mobilise some really, really key speakers to come over to Birmingham, of all places, right, to lead the event. And this whole area was swamped with people who took part in that African Liberation Day. It was an amazing event. And we've got photographs, when we do we'll show you all the photographs and stuff like that. But in particular, on the fun side, it's not all about protest. This is where, if we had Handsworth Carnival, the bandstand would be where all the artists are. You'd have lots of local creatives, local musicians who would be doing stuff on the bandstands, dancers, everything. Everything always happens here at the bandstand, basically.
Yep, brilliant. I remember the carnival, been here many times, and I'm just going to show you the actual artwork quickly before we move on to the next stop. So those who haven't been here, right by the cricket ground is the beautiful bandstand, and you can see it in its glory here standing. It's been restored. You can see, if I take you through the steps here up, have a look of the views from here. So whichever direction you look, you've got an amazing view for your well-being. Come out here and enjoy this space. See the architecture, some of the craftsmanship that's gone into creating this, and like Dawn said, have a look back at the memories of all the great events that took place here, right where I'm standing, right here in the middle of the bandstand here. So it's time to move on. Hope you enjoyed this. Hi Thomas. Everyone who's watching, please do share this video so we can get others to learn about the history on our doorstep, and we'll take you over to our next stop.
Okay. So we've got quite a bit of a walk. It's amazing. There's acres of land here in Handsworth Park, and the whole park is a workout in itself. We're going to stick to the path because it's quite wet because it was raining yesterday.
Yes, so we're going to stick to the main paths here.
Stick to the path. We want to go over. There's like a pyramid over there. We're going to go and have a look at that.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So, it's a bit wet.
Let's walk on the grass then if you want to. Yeah?
Do you want to get your feet wet? Are you okay?
Is everyone okay? Going on the grass?
Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah? Okay.
To get some negative on.
Yes, that's a good point.
If it was me, I would walk on the grass, but obviously I don't want people to get their feet wet. It's really soaking yesterday.
Yeah.
I guess it was. We had a few down.
We did have a few down.
So one of the things we're looking at is Handsworth Park within itself, where it sits. It's quite an old park for those people who don't know, who come here as well. And if you walk around it, it's absolutely an amazing park when you consider it's in the middle of Birmingham effectively as well. So there's quite a lot of events that have happened within the park that we like to talk about to people as well. And as you see, as we make our way up, we're going to go up the hill. We're just going to go up the hill here, so
yeah.
May get out of breath, excuse the views.
We'll check the level of fitness now, yeah?
So if we look back to it, we can see that this was an old Victorian park. And by the time it got to the 90s, it was actually considered quite a dangerous place to be, to walk through. People didn't feel safe. And Birmingham, as long as the Heritage Lottery Fund, actually invested in doing the park up again now, which is why it looks so much better. The boathouse was built, the lake was re-dredged and then redone as well. So it's, this park is a real hive of activity as well. And I think it's important for people to get away from Handsworth Park as a negative and understand it's nature. It's nature inside the city. And you should really appreciate it, because one of the things that we're having a problem with is the city is actually losing green space. There's a lot of developments going up, and they're now looking at it and understanding that there's not enough green space for the people and citizens of Birmingham. So when you've got something, hold on to it, come down, walk, use it, and you just see lots of people walking. We've just seen a group of ladies running. They all looked about 60 and they've been running around the park and stretching. And most people have got a contact to this park, so they know, and we'll share those stories later on.
Brilliant. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Gary. You didn't introduce yourself.
I did indeed. Hi viewers, so I'm Gary Stewart. I'm part of Recognised Black Heritage and Culture. I'm also part of Black Stories Partnership that delivers Black History Month. I'm also part of Black Heritage Walks Network. So really, I'm really invested in black heritage in the city as well. So I came on board with this because one night I woke up and I decided to create a trail in my head. Met Dawn, who was able to realise it. Met Marcia, who also had created it as well. And literally we put this walk together, and even we were amazed by how much knowledge we have. So I'm an ex-soldier. I've been in the army for about 7-8 years as well. But now I'm more involved in studies. I'm also on the Black Studies degree at BCU. So it's really about culture and heritage is where I am. I nearly fell down a hole there. Yeah, so that's what I'm about. That's what I like doing as well. You can find me online as well. I'm on recogniseonline.com. You can find all the information we're doing. If you have stories you want to share, we'll take them on board as well. And really, it's just about sharing heritage. It's about fitness and nature. It's about learning. I think learning and culture is what we're really interested in.
Brilliant.
So we're just going to turn around now. We're at Pauline Bailey's art, and Dawn's going to take back over here.
Okay, so thanks Gary for those words as well.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. We've got Janet we're watching. Thank you, Janet. She said what an interesting walk with Dawn Carr. So Dawn's going to tell you a bit more facts about where we are now.
Okay, so we started off at Hector, which is a statue which is part of an arch trail. So this is another piece which was commissioned by Pauline Bailey. She's another significant person of influence within the community, the black community. She's been an artist for years and runs lots of arts workshops. And she works with a group of people to deliver the arch trail here in Handsworth. And this is the pyramid. Now what's really good about the pyramid is for those who do our Black History classes, we do a lot of work about the ancient Egyptians and the pyramids and the significance to the black community. So obviously that's a significance in terms of this pyramid. It has a spiritual significance, the pyramid does. But what's really interesting for me is that she's used a lot of Gambian and African symbols in the actual the design of the pyramid, plus Tudor ones as well. So for those who know, Handsworth Park used to be part of Staffordshire, so you've got a Staffordshire Rose at the top there. Yeah. Can you see that?
Yeah, so that's there.
Yeah, so you've got a Staffordshire Rose at the top there. You've got lots of mandalas as well. So there's mandalas, there's African symbols. It really is significant of the entire Handsworth community, in the local area. So you've got something for the whole Handsworth community. You've got mandalas, you've got Tudor roses, African symbols, the whole lot. And that's all in the pyramid, and it's a beautiful piece of art.
Yeah.
So I thought, we
definitely got to show this. If I go through into the middle of this and look up, if you look up through here, what a beautiful view that is. So you need to come and appreciate it, and then stand here in the middle and take your time, gather your thoughts, think about the significance of this place.
On full moon night.
Yep.
That bit.
So
On full moon night.
when it's full moon, you come out, you stand there. What an amazing
Underneath.
spot. So Maxine, do you lead any walks for solstice days or anything like this?
My association with Handsworth and walking most days with friends and colleagues is because I just live over there, opposite the park. So this is my
Local green
front
space.
garden.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, and feel very blessed having got a space that's nearby, especially during this lockdown period. But in terms of walks, yes, and at the moment I'm linking up with some people that are doing a variety of different walks at Cannock Chase. I think it's a group called Black Women Don't Hike, and our group, a group of people that have gathered around some of the workshops that I've run this year. The tea garden, for example, introducing people to herbs and botanicals. We're organising some walks, and we've considered and have one planned for Malvern. But we need probably to team up with yourself.
Definitely.
And do something around our history also.
Oh, definitely.
The Edgbaston one sounds an interesting one.
Are you going to come next week?
Yeah,
Definitely
and I'm
come to that
thinking
one.
if I can advertise that through to the group as
That'd
well.
be great.
It would be really interesting
Yeah.
to do that.
So we're walking over to the Sons of Rest building now. So we're just taking a slow walk round to that. as I said, there's like lots of nice scenery. We've got lots of people walking today, haven't we?
Yep, it's great to see the park being used either as a cut through to work, for their health and well-being, walking, running, jogging. Some sports going on there in the Muga behind us, basketballs going on there, and cyclists as well, and runners. So it's really good. And it is a beautiful park. You know, if you've been here, you've been walking here, you know that some of the paths might be a bit challenging, but there's other areas where it's flatter as well. So yeah, wherever suitable for you, your ability, come and try it. And we're just by the Grove Lane side of the park, you can see behind us, and coming up to the leisure centre here. But this is the building here on the left that we want to talk about.
Yeah.
So
the Sons of Rest building, if I stand this side so that everybody can see it, is a social hall for veterans. So these are war veterans, and there's about 29 Sons of Rest in Birmingham and Black Country. They're based in parks, and but the first one was set up here in Handsworth. So this is not the original one. It's been restored. But like the first Sons of Rest was here in Handsworth. Do you want me to try not to get these ladies in?
Yes. We'll go around to this
We'll go around
side.
this side. So I'll just come around here, wait for my sunshine.
Yeah, this is a good spot here.
Spot here. Yeah. So hopefully Gary's going to catch up with us.
Yeah, coming round. So Gary will talk about the Sons of Rest building, and
So basically, as I said, there's 29 Sons of Rest in Birmingham and Black Country. They're all based in parks. The actual movement started here in Handsworth, and it was used as a resting place for war veterans. Now you're probably thinking, why am I mentioning this particular building? What's it got to do with Black heritage? And it's for quite a few reasons. The first one is everybody thinks that black people came on the Windrush boats, in the 1950s. We've been coming to the UK for centuries, but in particular there was a great wave of black people who came during the First World War and the Second World War, and they fought, for British citizens, as part of, the Commonwealth, to fight for peace. And some of those veterans decided to stay here, and so sometimes when we ask, well, why did the black settlers settle in Handsworth? Why did they settle in Small Heath? Why did they settle, in all these areas, right? Which are near to parks, right? It's because they were supported by the Sons of Rest. As veterans, they were supported by the Sons of Rest. The Sons of Rest was a social hall where they could come and relax and forget their post-traumatic, stress disorder from being in the war. But they also provided support, like how to apply for housing, how to get a job, how to write a CV, all of those different things. And do you want to talk about veterans?
Yeah, I will do. So as I mentioned to the viewers as I was walking up the hill, and I was out of breath, so I didn't look like a veteran then. But what we'll talk about is, I'm just going to jump away from 1948, which is most people understand, and go back to 1914, which was the First World War, which took place between 1914 and 1918. And as we said, this building here is a result of that campaign. Now you're probably thinking, what has that got to do with Handsworth Park and black people? Well, if I told you that black people were actually based in Birmingham at that time and actually fought in the First World War, so you're looking at over 16,000 people from the Caribbean who actually came and fought on behalf of Britain in the First World War. And at the time of the war, when that finished, some of them went back, but some of them stayed. Now, as you know, we're on a heritage walk. Part of the walk is actually further research. So as you're walking and you see something new, you go to the archives and you research it as well. So it's not just about the walk, it's about what you do afterwards. And in particular, the veterans that stayed here, we've also got records, and we can actually, again, if you go to my website, again, all the websites that we have, you can actually see there was a study that was done called Stories of a Mission, and it talked about a black man that actually joined the Warwickshire Regiment, which is Birmingham's local regiment, during the First World War. Now, unfortunately, he was too old to actually serve, but he became part of the Home Guard that was based here. So, to start off, I can show you one definite fact. I can even show you pictures of this man that was actually based in Birmingham during the First World War and actually joined the local regiment and remained. He lived there. He was actually a painter by trade. He's in the census again, so it's further information. Now, if we fast forward to World War II, we all know that like the world took part, all different continents, Pakistan, Bengali, West India, Africa. We know that everybody was involved in that war. It was a world war. And what we're looking at Handsworth in particular then is literally after the war, the veterans that returned back to this country to demob, which means that they left the services, they all came and settled in this area. But what I can tell you as well is there are records of black people and Asian people being in this area since 1936 at least. So we know that they were working in the munitions factory before the war actually started. So again, the veterans all finished the war, they came here, and Handsworth was one of the areas chosen because it was large houses that we know here, and you know, people would come over, then send for the next part of the family to come over as well. So you know, we know that the park forms part of that as well, and that's why veterans returned to this area after the war and then came and settled here. So if we're going to move on
I've got
to
like a picture here, so here's some picture proof. You can see some black veterans, a nice old picture here of veterans, and I've also got like another one. We've got like a regiment here, so if you can see.
Hopefully this is coming across, guys.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, the
But
sun's
we
in our
can
offices.
put them in the live stream afterwards.
Yeah, yeah. So we can put these in the comment section.
that was the scouts there, wasn't it?
Yeah, so just to say that was the home. The Sons of Rest is also, it's been used for veterans, but it was also the home for the Scouts. So there was a Black Scouts group that used to use that building because obviously it was let out to local community groups. So without the support of the Sons of Rest, we wouldn't have had a Black Scouts group, and lots of young men in the area were supported by the Scouts, and they've gone on to do great things, you know, in the community and in enterprise. So we were lucky to have that. So we're going to go over to the leisure centre now.
So we're going to take this little short path just past the play area here on the Holly Road side of the park. It's really interesting, guys. Those who are watching, how are you enjoying it so far? Please put some comments in there. We've got Tracy. Hi Tracy, she said hello to all of us.
Oh, thank
Hi,
you.
Tracy.
Hi, Tracy.
And Thomas is watching. He said it's like he was actually there with us, so it's really good. Yeah, that's what we wanted to try and do. So those who can't join a physical walk, we bring you the virtual walk. You can retrace our footsteps in your own time with your family and friends, and do it safely, but learn the historical facts as we're going through the walk. Yeah.
One of the things we point out, I did a trip a couple of years ago to the Slavery Museum in Liverpool, and we actually met a guy up there that does walks around Liverpool as well. And one of the things I remember, despite seeing so many things about Liverpool that I didn't know, he always said to me, when you're walking around, look up around you. We always walk, you know, we're in a mission, we're walking fast somewhere, look up and look at your surroundings. You'll see things on buildings that say 1914, 1918, and you start to think, what was that building before? You know, and some of the buildings, you'd be surprised at what the hidden history of buildings around you. So, you know, it's one of the things that I know, you know, I just said that because when you look at the houses in the background, then if you can point over
Yeah,
to
I'm
those
going to point over
without
there.
the sun.
Yeah, there's a bit of sun glare, but you can see some of the roofs of the houses
There's
here.
some amazing
And there's some
houses.
beautiful architecture and structure there as well. And just back there behind the play area, you see that there as well.
Yeah, so I always say that because when you look at those houses, you think it's just a house, but if you look at the quality and the build of those houses, they've outlasted a lot of people. And again, this is looking at history and heritage as you're walking along, you know, taking in your full surroundings as well. So listeners, look up. That's
Yeah.
what I'll say to you.
Look up, yeah.
And it's
So
funny
not
because
always
I
down.
took Taz on
Look
a
up.
walk the other day, and he to Brindley Place, and he runs down Brindley Place all the time and never noticed
notice
that
it, no.
that gallery. So you just need to look up, don't
That's
you?
right, yeah. So yeah, I've learned that. So yeah, I'll be passing that every time and making sure my runners know that there's a Birmingham Contemporary Art Gallery with some amazing work that on display, free for us to see. Just go and see. And this month is Black History Month.
Yeah.
There's some magnificent pieces of art that have been there, and Albert has created a wonderful exhibition there. So do go out and see the Birmingham Contemporary Art Gallery when you can. We're over
So
by
we're
the
here now
Handsworth.
at the leisure centre. We're going to talk about this mural. Do you want to do that? No.
Oh, okay, I'll just do it now. Am I doing this one?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you want to do this
So
one?
yeah, we're just going to try something here. Hopefully you can.
Can you see? Sorry, I'm trying to zoom into it. So we are listening to Steel Pulse. If you can see that, Gary's put that on his phone. Steel Pulse. I'm trying to zoom into
You
it.
can hear this song here.
Yeah.
So that's what we're actually playing now. If you listen to this music, and you'll see it's in representation to the album's cover you can see behind us. So.
The Handsworth Revolution album. That's all playing.
So Handsworth Revolution, award-winning album by Still Pulse that was created here. Now I'm just going to jump forward in time and talk about what you see behind us here, which is a replica. Yeah, which is a replica of the album cover at the time. Still Pulse, a local band, most people probably remember them from back in the day, Legends of Handsworth, created this album that went on. And it's also important to remember Still Pulse, one of the only bands outside of Jamaica to actually win the Reggae Grammy in the US. That's normally happening as well. So we'll I'll just stand to the side and just talk to you so you can see the album cover there. It's quite a close representation of the original. It had to be changed slightly due to licensing laws. But as you can see, this was their album cover for that Handsworth Revolution, which at the time was talking about revolution that they were experiencing in the UK. And you may remember that they did one of their songs where they were dressed up as members of the Ku Klux Klan, and the song was called Ku Klux Klan. So, you know, we have this really amazing mural that was created by Punch Records. It was actually formed here about 2-3 years ago and was opened by Yvonne Mosquito, who was the Lord Mayor at the time as well. And it's just, again, something else. When you're walking through the park, this building was actually redundant at the time. The actual, you know, outside, it was just a grey. And what they did, they actually commissioned the organisation to come and put this mural on as an honour to Still Pulse the band as well. And the members of the band actually turned up. There was actually an opening launch ceremony on the day as well. And again, if you come into the park, it's worth walking around and coming to look at it, because like, a lot of people remember it from the time, and it talks about the time. If you grew up in Handsworth in the late 70s, 80s, and 90s, this is actually testimony to the revolution that was going on, the struggles of black people that were still experiencing, the struggles of Asian people in the area, the struggles of everybody that was living in Handsworth at the time. So if you're in the park, come and walk up. It's actually by the leisure centre, which you can see. Unfortunately, that's closed at the moment, but take a walk around here and you can actually get to here as well.
And whilst we're at the leisure centre, Marcy's going to tell us about the reason why we call it the Madiba Walk. So Madiba is Nelson Mandela, and he actually came to the leisure centre.
Yep. Okay, so Nelson Mandela came here in the 1980s and was invited here by a very prominent councillor, James Hunt. Now, the massive issue here is that Nelson Mandela wasn't supposed to come here. He was brought over here by the UK government, and they had created pit stops for him to go to, and this was not one of them. So for James Hunt to be able to infiltrate and influence for Nelson Mandela to come here was absolutely massive. Now what they did was they arranged for him to come here at an unspeakable time, 8 o'clock in the morning, when they thought nobody would turn up because he wasn't supposed to be here. And what shocked everybody, the media, there were sways. This park was a sea of people before 8 o'clock in the morning to see Nelson Mandela. And him being here, massive icon, world leader, saviour to everyone, and that's why we've had to call it the Madiba Walk.
Brilliant. Well, absolutely. Everyone, when I put the title, I was hoping that you were being inquisitive to ask what Madiba meant, but now you've got an explanation.
Madiba is his South African name.
Brilliant. Nelson Mandela's South African name. Here, he visited right here at this spot. Amazing. Was anyone here when he arrived, when he came, when he visited? We weren't fortunate enough to be in his presence at the time, but we've got lots of pictures and video memories of his visit to Handsworth, which we can share onto the comment section as well,
yeah,
and links into the comment section. Thank you, Marcia.
Brilliant. So we're going to walk across now just to Thornhill Road, which is going to be the second to last stop this morning. Hopefully we're on time. I don't know what the time is. So we're walking out of Handsworth Park, but just to kind of, before we leave it, the Friends of Handsworth Park have put an awful lot of effort into preserving the heritage of this. And as you go along the park, there are lots of notice boards, which have information about the heritage of the park. They have a website themselves. So please support the Friends of Handsworth Park. As I said, we want this to still be here for our children and our children's children.
Yeah, I'm just going to show the sign from this side, and then nice from here there's a map.
So there's a map here. This is done by Friends of Handsworth Park as part of their scheme, and even some information about all the things I've said There's the original Sons of Rest. Can you see it? The original bandstand.
1920.
Yeah. So there's loads of information that's been collected by the Friends of Handsworth.
Children's play area.
That's the
which is
original
by
playground, by the
bandstand,
bandstand, yeah.
which no longer exists. That's still there, the Austin Lands Fountain. We didn't see that earlier, but yeah.
I think that's what we was talking, 1906. I remember when I was walking up and I was talking about the park, it's quite old
Yeah.
as well. I think you got right the way back 1906 with St Mary's Church in the background there, which is still standing.
Yeah.
Considered to be one of the oldest churches in the area. In fact, you've just seen it because you pointed it, but you see here.
Yeah.
It was an estate purchased in 1887. So if listeners understand, you know, this park has been here for a really long time.
Yeah, so great history. We're going to leave the park now, sadly, but we are going into more heritage and more black history right here on the streets of Handsworth.
Yeah. So when you're listening and you're looking about the area, most people would know have visited Handsworth Park at some time for a carnival. Yes, we like to party as well. And this park has been the scene of carnival for quite some time. All the houses you'll see here as well on carnival, they're part of carnival as well. They all set up the sound systems outside. You can get food and drink. And it's such a shame that Birmingham doesn't have this carnival anymore. You know, it became known as Birmingham International Carnival. That's how renowned it was at one point. And it's really disappointing to see that over time, I think it was whittled down. I think the last reincarnation of it was in Perry Park, and it was a short street procession. But it's not as we remember. Good to say that in the current climate, Simmer Down is actually taking part in the park here. That's another local. Looking at big black music as well, so that's really important to people. Unfortunately with COVID, that ended up online this year as well. But you know, those are the events that listeners haven't, they should come down and experience. You can, you know, displays in the park, have good food, listen to good music, and just see probably half of Birmingham in the park as well.
But what is everlasting is Professor Black. Now Professor Black is part of our walk as well. We're not going to visit Professor Black, but Professor Black is the genius behind Birmingham Carnival. And I say genius because he's got so much talent. He does all the carnival outfits to a certain expertise that is international. People internationally go to him for carnival outfits. He can play the steel band. He's a dancer. He's an athlete. Professor Black is everything, and he's still standing. So, you know, I just want to big up Professor Black because we wouldn't have the carnival without him. We wouldn't be internationally known. This puts Birmingham on the map because of Professor Black. And you know, the procession would be going down these very same roads at the time when we used to have the carnival here.
It was one time where you would consider you needed to learn to walk as well, because as much as you can see us walking down these roads here, when carnival or any events on in the park, you have to park miles away and walk. So you know, it's a mission just to actually get here for the actual events, but it's also worthwhile as well. And as you see, there are many local people, communities that will talk about. I mean, for the locals, they probably hate it, but for many people around the time, this was a chance for Birmingham to shine. Showing, you know, there's been so many events here as well. We were talking about African Liberation Day.
Yeah, we were talking about that,
we were talking about the Scout Jamboree. These were big. They weren't like, you know, a couple of hundred people. These were thousands of people that would come to this park as well. So that's why it sits in the walk. You know, that's why we've taken the time to explain to people and the viewers like about this walk and why it's really important towards Black Heritage Month.
Yeah, and we showcase Black heritage, and you know, it may seem like a carnival and it seems like fun and just having fun, but it's very significant for the Black community because we're in the Caribbean. Carnival Day was the only day that the slaves would have off, and this would be their day where they're able to enjoy time with their family, you know, cook food. The slave master might treat them, you know, to some additional treats and stuff like that, and it's a time that they look forward to. So we do need to remember that. We need to remember, you know, those times and be grateful for where we are today, how we progressed, and just take a notice of our own culture really. So that's why we celebrate, you know, Carnival. So we're walking down Thornhill Road now, and we're going towards Thornhill Road Police Station, which is another significant icon for the Black community. So we'll talk about that when we get there.
Yep, just watch your feet here through Thornhill Road, just off the Holly Road, just after one of the exits there by the community garden side of the park. So that's where we are now. Left the park.
So originally, this is after the war, a lot of black people actually settled here on these surrounding roads in Handsworth. And I don't know if you're catching it, Taz. You've got some beautiful, villas on this road, which were left abandoned during the war because people were evacuated out of them. So a lot of them were, abandoned and not being used, which is why it lends itself to multiple occupancy. So when people came to Birmingham, and in particular Handsworth, a lot of these places were let out to many families, who live in one room or 2 rooms, and this is the only way they could get housing. There was a lot of racism. I don't know if people have heard, the no blacks, no Irish, no dogs sign. So there was lots of racism at that time, and people wouldn't let rooms or houses to the black community. And so because this was an area where there's been a lot of evacuation, there was lots of empty houses, they were able to kind of rent rooms in this particular area, in these lovely houses. They were so big they could hold many families at that time, and that's why they settled here. So just take in some of this architecture.
Yeah,
because when you think of Handsworth, you think of it as being in poverty, but look at these beautiful houses.
Yeah, and if you look at the tree line road ahead, you could be anywhere in Birmingham with this view. Look at the view here. I'll just safely come into the middle of the road. There's no traffic here. So tree line roads, beautiful big accommodation, really grand structures. Stoneleigh Villas, there's a sign there at the back, up there, Stoneleigh Villas, and multiple occupancies. This is where people from the Caribbean, not just from the Caribbean, from the South Asian areas were housed. And it's great to see some of the maintenance work that's going on in the buildings here to keep that history. So you got Blenheim Villa, Carlton Villas, Glenholm Villas. If you look up, like Gary said earlier, when you're walking down the street, you probably walk down this street 100 times and not notice those signs up there with the villa signs. So yeah.
We're nearly there at Thornhill Road Police Station. So Thornhill Road Police Station, at the time, this part of Handsworth was in Staffordshire, and it was an old magistrate court as part of the Staffordshire area. So what was significant about it is because as a magistrate court, it had its own cells down in the basement where they'd hold people before they go to court. As well as the police station. The building is not used as a police station anymore. It's I think it's just like a community centre for PCSOs, for them to rest and just do paperwork and stuff like that. So it's not open to the public anymore. But it's an amazing building in terms again of its heritage. It's got lots of unique Staffordshire, architecture in it. That for anybody who follows architecture, this is unique to the Staffordshire area. This kind of red Staffordshire brick. You've got the Staffordshire roses
on the top.
I don't know if you can capture all this.
Yeah, I'll try and zoom in when we get a little bit closer here. I'll try and zoom in with the camera.
I mean, when we get closer, you've got all this unique kind of Staffordshire architecture, which is honestly, you don't get this in urban areas, and so we have to appreciate this type of heritage that we've got here. But in terms of the black community, we've got another story to tell in terms of this building. So I'm just going to join.
Okay, let me before you tell that story, I'm just going to try and zoom into some of that so the viewers can see it from the camera here. There we go. That's what Dawn was talking about. The Staffordshire touch is there. The red and white, red and blue contrast. Thank you, Paul. Paul Pablo Sultana says, great walk and commentary. Thanks. So people are appreciating this, Dawn. So it's really good.
See, it's a police court. It was a proper magistrates court, so they can not only wasn't just a police station. They could actually, take people to court here and they just hold them in cells down there. And as I said, for the black community, this sadly has another significance. So I don't know if you want to talk about this.
Yes, so this was the scene
Speak
of
louder.
the
Yes, please.
very, very volatile, emotional 1985 Handsworth riots. Started because of police intervening with a gentleman who didn't have proper documentation for his car that he was driving. Possibly started at the Acapulco club down the road. The amount of people that came in to basically state their issue with the way he was brutally brought into the police station, beaten up and incarcerated just for not having the proper papers. Now, the most important aspect of this is that out of that came good in a Rastafarian movement that came along and basically tried to intervene with the police and the people and stopped the looting that was happening in Handsworth, that was actually happening from people coming into the area and taking advantage of a very, very, very bad crisis. Handsworth Police Station, Thornhill, also has a very, very dire history, but going back to the SUS law. That law stands for suspicious, and in those days a lot of young black men, some of them school boys in their school uniform, are dragged off the street because they looked suspicious, brought into this police station and absolutely brutalised. How bad it was, some of the parents didn't actually know that their sons were here until somebody from around the area said, "We know that your son has been arrested and brought to this police station." They'd be kept here for days and days without the police actually contacting their families. So it's got a historical, dire history, but out of it came good that people don't know, with the Rastafarians coming in and basically calming the situation here. It's now closed, as you can see, and has been closed for some time. It will always stay as a very prominent part of Handsworth history because of the highly televised Handsworth riots.
Thank you.
So, I mean, it's important for us to say that. You know, I don't like to use the word riots. I always use the word uprising. Yeah, because uprising, you know, is about, you know, communities taking control. And we've seen this recently with this George Floyd and Black Lives Matter and, you know, various, you know, political things we've seen and uprisings that we've seen that have come out of, you know, a really bad situation. And we're hoping that, you know, these examples of uprising, they're not just for the black community, they're there to help all communities. I think with the George Floyd incident, I think why a lot of communities are disgusted by it is obviously racism is, like, you know, a really bad thing, and we know all of that and whatever. But in times of crisis, right, when we've got a pandemic and we've got so many things going on, it's really sad to think that our taxpayers' money that goes to the police you know, service, right, is being used just to beat up black men, when there's so many other, you know, crimes that need to be, you know, sorted. There's so many other things happening in the community. So, you know, why are the police using all these resources just to go and pick on, you know, black men in the community? And I think that to me, you know, is a crying shame when we're in a time of, like, you know, austerity. You know, we need the support from the police, and if their only agenda is just to kind of, you know, to just arrest black people unnecessarily, it's just such a waste of resources. So, you know, that in addition to the racism is the most significant factor. So obviously, if I was a white person, I wouldn't want my taxpayers' money being spent on unnecessary things. But going back to the police station, so as I said, young black men were taken off the street, they were taken into the police station, they were held in the cells underneath for days on end, and there was no transparency. So what happened was a lot of communities got together, and, you know, there was a report that was done by a guy called McPherson. So he did a big report into you know, into racism, systemic racism, and the impact on the black community. And it was found that this the impact of racism is not just about the trauma, but it's also about no access to housing, no access to jobs, poor education, which lends itself to poor opportunities. And so what they did, they got some funding to develop a centre which is called Community Roots at the time. So this was a centre. It's no longer Community Roots, but this was the idea was that people could go here for support with education, careers, jobs, support in terms of like housing as well. And Princess Diana found out about this. She was also horrified by the riots. Princess Diana was. She was a beautiful angel, and she specifically came here to open this centre, to show her support for the black community and the troubles of the black community. So she came to open this centre. There was like a whole day, with events and stuff like that. And what's significant about it is it's a glass building. So there's two things about this building. The reason why it's glass was to show transparency. So it was used as a holding centre. So instead of using the police station, what they do, if they were going to stop and search black youths, they'd take them to this centre here, and because it's glass, you can see through. So that you couldn't, if there was any tales of brutality and stuff like that, there was that transparency. You can see what's going on in the building. It's all glass, so you can see all of that. So that was the first thing. But also in terms of the glass itself, that was provided by another black entrepreneur in the Birmingham area called Clyde Pyle, who used to have a glass factory. So he used to have a glass factory at the time, and it was his glass that was provided for this actual building. So that was, so it was a double win really in terms of the black community. So that's it basically. And then you can get here for law advice, immigration advice, everything. It's now turned into a nursery and a music centre at the moment. So yeah.
Brilliant.
We've come to the end of this walk. So this is where we're going to come to an end, with this story about community roots, about community cohesion, and how out of the riots, there was some good. We were able to have this glorious centre, to help the black community at that time. So,
Brilliant.
Do you want to say anything?
I just want to say
Thank you very much for joining us, and please come along to the proper 2-hour walk.
So how do people find out about where and when the walks will take place?
Yes, so we've actually got a booking page, and if you log on to Recognise Black Culture, that will take you to the web page, our Black Heritage Walks web page, where you can book and see the dates that we've got available.
And we're also on TripAdvisor, so if you can find us on TripAdvisor, and you can book straight through from TripAdvisor. We're on Airbnb, so if people come from internationally and come into the city, they can find us on Airbnb as well. And we have a Facebook page.
I just want to add, this has been a really interesting morning for me. And one of the things that we've just been talking about is the gaps in the history, because some of the things can't be found, they're not written. And just this walk here, we've been sharing stuff that really needs to be part of this process. The woman behind me talks about how she remembers this particular road and the customs that took place here. The whole, kind of plethora of information that's around the legality and people fighting for their rights in this locality, and who supported that and led that needs, I think, some more attention. And so the reason why I'm saying that is that people can add to this story, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And so we've got to work out how we can do that.
Yeah, we've only just done a slight caption of the walk today because we don't have time to go through everything. We normally do talk about the black women who did a peaceful protest in this area to support, those who've been subjected to racism and discrimination in the area. There's so many stories I can tell, but it will take me the whole 3 hours. But yeah, definitely, there's so much more we can bring to this. Yeah, yeah.
But thanks.
Yeah, thank you for coming. No, thank you. I really appreciate it. And please come on our walks. Like I said, we're not here just for Black History Month. We are here all year round doing these walks, and we put about 2 years of research into this walk alone. We've got 8 walks altogether. So find out about our walks. We do education programs as well. We work in schools, so try and just Google Black Heritage Walks Network and you'll find us.
Thank you, Dawn. Thank you, Marcia. Thank you, Maxine.
Thank you.
I'm just going to go over to thank Gary.
hello, I'm still
Gary,
here,
we're
yeah,
just
I'm
going to
sorry.
say thank you. It's time to end.
No problem.
Unfortunately,
Thank you very much,
it's a very shortened version of the walk,
Yeah.
but thank you for joining and thank you for the information that you've sent across to
No
us.
problem at all.
And everyone, please do
Pleasure.
research
Thanks a
that.
lot. Thank you, Taz,
Thank
as
you.
well.
So I'm just going to end the video. Thanks again, guys, for joining me today for this walk. We're back next Wednesday at 2 o'clock for Ida B. Wells Walk. So those who know Ida B. Wells, you can share the information onto your family and friends. And those who don't, just do a quick Google research who Ida B. Wells was and join us next week, 2 o'clock from Edgbaston Community Centre, and we will bring you another Black Heritage Walk with Dawn Carr from Black Heritage Walks Network and myself, Taz, from the Big Run Project. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye bye.